Welcome to the Real Life Buyer podcast. In this podcast, you will hear interviews with business owners, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, authors, and technical specialists in their field. These professionals will hasten your development, accelerate your career, and broaden your business know-how. Now, introducing your host, Dave Barr, interviewing with a purchasing twist.
Hello, and welcome to the Real Life Buyer. Shopify is a well-known and thriving platform for thousands of businesses. However, many people, after developing their own store, fail to achieve their dream sales and have a laptop/coffee shop type of lifestyle. In this episode, I have the great pleasure of speaking to Shopify expert Clayton Bates, nominated for Business Person of the Year 2023 in the Campbelltown area, and one of only 27 registered Shopify experts in New South Wales, Australia. He has a thriving business building Shopify websites that convert visitors into paying customers. So without further ado, I welcome Clayton onto the podcast. Hi, Clayton.
Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. And it's an area I'm quite intrigued about. We had a discussion before we came on to record that I once had a Shopify store. I was trying to help my son sell his photographs and do various things. Didn't kind of work out for us. We're not multimillionaires, but there we go. So to talk to an expert today is obviously quite interesting for me. Let's look back at your kind of history. And I was intrigued to see your LinkedIn profile and the things that you have done. And you used to be a team leader for, I believe, Schneider Electric and the owner of a cards and collectibles business. So how did you pivot to become a Shopify expert?
Well, I guess it's like it all started one step back from that. But basically in high school, I think I've always had a business mind for a long time because in high school, I was sitting next to a can machine one day and I went and got a drink and the machine was broken. I put $1 in or whatever it was, and 7 cans fell out, and I sold all 7 in 5 minutes. And something started in my brain where it was like, maybe I can sell drinks. Maybe I can sit next to the drink machine and start selling drinks at school. And I made tens of thousands of dollars doing that at school over about 3 or 4 year period. So that sort of started me in this like wanting to have a business sort of thing. I think once I left school, I was actually earning less money working full time than I was at school, which was crazy. And then I sort of just went into like working full time for a few years. I think in 2008, I seen a packet of football cards in a news agency. I used to collect them as a kid and I thought I'd buy some. And then I started collecting them and I thought I've got all these spare ones, so maybe I can sell them, have a business on the side. I started to do that. I had a kiosk for about 3 years, I think. Something a lot of people don't know about me is that I've sold hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of trading cards, which is like people don't like, they see like a cardboard card sort of thing. And when they hear numbers like that, it's just a bit crazy to some people. So I had a kiosk for about 3 years. Something sort of happened that messed up the whole business sort of thing. Like, you know, some of it was my own fault, but basically the company that I used to make most of my money from, they made like a little bit of a mistake in like 2009 and try to recover. So one of the things that I made half my money from in the year, they decided not to produce that year. So it sort of really screwed me up a little bit. It really taught me that you have to diversify. You can't rely on one sort of thing. So I had a break for a couple of years. I started a job at Schneider Electric. I worked there, I think 6.5 years. And then on the side, I started selling cards again. So I had a really good job at Schneider, kept getting promotions and stuff there. It was, you know, all my family thought it was like this great job and stuff like that. I was selling the cards on the side, which was good. I needed a website and everyone gave me quotes for like thousands of dollars. And I had to make a decision where I was like, do I spend the money on stock or on more stock, or do I learn how to build the website myself? So I decided to learn how to build the website myself. It took quite a long time to learn, like 6 months, 2 years to like really get it going sort of thing. One of the things I've learned now, if I actually paid that money for someone to build the website, I probably would have made $200,000 or $300,000 more if I paid someone to build the website, but then I wouldn't be where I am right now. So it's sort of like maybe it was all meant to happen that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So you were a budding entrepreneur from the early days, and I guess what was clear, you were in a school where the market, your customers were surrounding you all the time. So I guess that kind of trading was relatively straightforward. There's no distribution, things like that. You just brought the cans in, and the guys bought them, I guess. But then as you rightly say, you've worked for both business and for yourself. I know Tradables, it's a huge business. It's generally highly profitable. When people get into trading, it's a passion, it's a love, and they always want the next card. And we've all seen various things like the Pokemon trading games, all those things where people can collect and get the rare gems, shall we say. It's something that spurs people on to buy, doesn't it? So it's a very clever system of process, and some fantastic creations that are made there as well. I can't underestimate the skill and the competence of the designers and the way they dream these things up. It's really smart. So it's great to hear that you've gone through some amazing changes, transformations, some learnings in the process that has finally brought you to the point where you found something that may be a new niche for you. You've had to work hard at it to build your skills and competence, I guess. And you've ended up settling with Shopify for whatever reason. It's quite interesting because there are other, obviously, platforms out there. So if you're going to help other people to build their own stores, you obviously knew exactly what you wanted and you developed that over time. How do you go about getting that deep understanding of each of the business's unique needs, what plans they have, what goals they want to achieve? And then can you kind of walk us through the process of identifying and implementing the right e-commerce solution for them based on what you've learned?
So this is definitely one I struggled with early on, because I thought I knew everything when I started this business, and I quickly found out that I didn't. I thought like one solution fits everyone, which it sort of doesn't. But over time, what I normally do now is I ask them to give me an idea of like websites they like. So they might send me 2 to 5 websites they really like. So I get an idea of what they like. And then I do a lot of research into their niche and find out what other people are doing, things like that. Combined it all with what I've learned over the last 5 years on what sort of works and stuff like that, and try to put something together that converts really well and they actually can sit down and like their website, because it's really important. Like, you can have the best converting website in the world, but if someone sits down and they hate looking at their website, it's really going to put them off like growing their business, sort of thing. So it's definitely like a team effort. We all come together and try to find what's going to work the best, what they're going to like, what their audience is going to like, all that sort of stuff like that. So
yeah, I guess there's quite a lot of interaction. So by them giving you the sites they perhaps prefer, you get an image of the kind of features that are on there. Does it impact the kind of colors, the layout, the paying process? There's certain things, commonalities that you can draw from what they say to you and show you that really helps you to make the right decisions.
Yeah, 100%. Like the other thing why I like to get them to send me a lot of websites is because of their expectation as well, because they might send me a website that someone paid $100,000 for that website, and they're not going to get that level sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? So I sort of say, hey, this type of website works really well. This one's like $100,000, $200,000 website. Probably we don't really build websites for that much money. So it's like setting expectations. And then sometimes they'll send me a website and it'll be like, this one really converts really well. We can actually build something like this. We can do it better probably. So that's sort of how the process sort of works, sort of thing. And then normally we'll test things out. So once we have the like what direction we're going in for the design and stuff like that, and when we launch the website, we might run some tests and things to see what works the best. Normally, if someone's already made sales in the past, it's a lot easier because we can test what we build compared to what they had before. So if the sales and conversion goes up like 2 or 3 times what it was before, that's obviously like working really well, and then maybe tinker with it a little bit. It's a little bit harder when the less sales someone's had, the little bit harder it is. But yeah, we sometimes run a lot of tests and things like that. So
yeah. Do you get many times when what the client is asking for is quite a distance from what you believe is the right thing to do? Your experience shows what works, what converts, what works well with customers generally. but sometimes perhaps their clients have got this image and they really can't shake the image off, even though that may or may not work very effectively. How do you deal with that disconnect between yours and their aspirations, their thoughts?
So that's definitely something I struggled with the first couple of years, because sometimes people do want websites that I already know that if we launch a website like that, it's going to either go worse or not very, very good at, sort of thing. And even if they really want that design, right, and then I build it exactly how they want it, and then it doesn't make more sales, it's going to be my fault, right?
Absolutely.
Because they're going to be upset that they paid all the money. So it's sort of really hard. I'd say probably 1 in 100 people will sort of clash a little bit like that, not in like a bad way, but I think I've got a lot better at explaining why we do things straight away before I even start building the website. I've already got an idea of what they like and sort of things, stuff like that. So I already know if there's going to be like any hassles or anything like that. So I'd say like this year, like one time this whole year, there's been like a bit of a clash sort of thing out of like how many jobs we've done, like heaps sort of thing. So yeah, it's just really I've just been doing it a long time. So I really understand, I know what questions to ask people, and it really does help like finding websites they like. The other thing as well, we normally do, so when we send a quote and they pay for it, we'll normally put a draft together. And if they don't like the draft, we can either give them a refund, or we will like try a different direction or whatever. So it's sort of like we don't spend heaps and heaps of time on it, but they can feel safe that, you know, if we get it wrong or get their vision wrong, that they can still get a refund, sort of thing. So I think that really helps a lot. Not that I've done many refunds, probably like 5 out of 500 jobs or something. And I wouldn't even really classify the 5 as really anything bad or anything like that.
Yeah. I guess in those cases, you know, it's good that you warrant your work, basically. And there's always going to be creative differences. I guess that's just the way things are. And for you to build something that isn't going to work, you say, well, hold on a minute, that's not in myself. You know, I will give an honest job. I will do the right thing. If that isn't going to work for the customer, whether they accept it or not, the best thing to do, as you say, is to give them a refund. Say, I honestly don't think that what you're suggesting is going to work for you. As that's the case, then I think it's probably best we don't carry on. I think that's great honesty, and it's reflection on your expertise, because, you know, you don't want to deliver something that won't perform at the end of the day. Because as you say, if it doesn't perform, who are they going to blame? It's going to come back to you one way or another. It's interesting you've learned possibly or developed some of the key skills of communication and perhaps persuasion, and how you empathize with those people and what they're looking for. Would you say that's something that has grown within you for each client? Is this something, it's a skill set that you've developed really well? Is there certain skills you would like to share that are critical for this type of role?
I actually studied to be a counselor. So I think I had to do one more module and I could be a counselor. So I think a lot of things I learned when I was studying to be a counselor has really helped me like in this business. And I've read a lot of books about like mindset, things like that. And so I think those type of skills really help, sort of thing. I think I have really like kind heart as well, which helps, like sort of thing. So I can really understand where they're coming from. Because at the end of the day, I want like everyone to be happy, sort of thing. So I think that reflects in like all my reviews I have, because I have about 100 and something 5-star reviews now across Google and Shopify experts. And I think when you read all those reviews, you can sort of tell that I care a lot about the other person, sort of thing. And I think in this business, you really do have to care a lot about the other person. And over probably the last 2 years, my company has grown quite a lot over the last 2 years. And that is like one of the things that I've really been trying to focus on, is like, if we're scaling the business, like one of the very important things that's grown our business is how much we care about the client, their vision, stuff like that. And we don't want to go far away from the things that made us successful and where we are right now, if that makes sense.
So would you say that understanding the culture of the people you're working with, their background, where they've come from, and the way you develop the culture of your business is a key strategy and tactic to support people going forwards? Because if you've got that synergy together, you end up with better work than if you've got a disconnect.
Like, I think by the time I send someone a quote anyway, like, we're very aligned anyway. Like, normally the people that aren't aligned with how I think and stuff, they probably have dropped off, sort of thing. I think you attract people similar to yourself as well. So if you're putting like good vibes into the world and like you care about the other person, you attract people that care about you too. So it's like a win-win sort of thing. I think there's definitely certain things that I do that draw people that are similar to me, to myself. So even one thing, like my business is called Inspire Small Business. And I'd say 30-40% of people that work with me, they have Inspire somewhere in their about page. So they're, yeah, it's sort of like, yeah, just attracting those people that are similar to you. The other thing as well, like by the time I've sent them a quote, I've done a video review of their website. So they actually get an idea of like my thoughts around their own website. They get like a good, like my personality comes out in that video. Then we have like an hour chat on Zoom or phone call or something like that. So yeah, like I think a lot of people that aren't aligned with me, they'll drop off somewhere in that sort of thing. And then the people that are very aligned with me come through. Like I'd say probably 80-90% of people I work with are very aligned with like myself.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting thing you just mentioned is that you do this video review. That's not something I've heard before, and it sounds perhaps a little bit unique. Is that something you've developed yourself as a way of communicating and emphasizing how things you think are working and how they should work?
Yeah, I've done 2,000 of them or something like that. So I really studied what I said in the videos, why people message me back, what things turn people off, get a really good idea of like giving the best advice in 10-20 minutes. Like, yeah, I really analyzed that. I actually learned it from a course that I did many years ago. It was like a 30-40 hour course. And this guy for like 1 second said something about sending a video review to someone. And I thought, oh, that's a really good idea. And I started to actually send them to people. And I started to think about, I definitely got this from the card business too, because I really cared about postage. Like, and a lot of people in that industry don't really care about how the package goes to the person, how they open the package and stuff. I was thinking back one day and I was like, there's probably 50 people messaging this person saying that they can help them with their website. And I'm like, how do I stand out? Sort of thing. So I thought that video review will help me stand out, because in the old business, a YouTuber actually bought stuff off me and multiple people, and they opened it all on their channel. And like my one definitely stood out heaps because I had like handwritten message, stuff like that. I packaged it really well. And I started to think about that when I was like, how do I approach customers to build websites for? The other thing as well, when I become a Shopify expert, every 3 to 6 months, I actually put a request through Shopify experts to see what all the other experts say to people. So I definitely stand out for sure. So you have to stand out sometimes. Otherwise, people are getting 50, 100 messages or something like that. And it's like, you have to stand out some way. And I think that does help you stand out doing that.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, most people don't do that, no.
Yeah, so if you're putting yourself in the customer's shoes and imagining what the experience is like for them. That's really good. I've heard of something similar before, but you've really emphasized that and how important it is to make yourself, as you say, stand out from the rest of the crowd. It's not just to drop these cards in a parcel and hope for the best. You'll think about when they receive it, what they're going to see, what's going to resonate with them, the care that's gone into the, as you say, the packaging, the way it's been done. It's all part of the experience. It's just not about the product on its own that's inside. So that's really a useful tip. I think people hopefully will take on board. So we're touching a little bit here on user experience, and particularly in the internet world, user experience is, I guess, pretty crucial in both capturing and retaining customers. So how do you approach the process of creating an impactful e-commerce solution that not only drives revenue, but gives that user experience to such a positive degree they want to come back time after time to that website?
Just make it simple. Like, I think a lot of people overcomplicate things. Like, if you just make it very user friendly, very simple. Just for example, some people, they want to have like a million pop-ups, things jumping out, like bouncing around, like shaking. I just try to make it very simple. And I think when the website is very simple, it just makes it like for a good user experience sort of thing. Sometimes it's hard to actually communicate that to people as well. So sometimes we'll do tests and be like, all right, we'll do all these pop-up things and then we'll see what converts best and stuff. But I've really found like just making it simple and having really nice images is like the two biggest things on a website. If you can do that, you'll convert a lot better.
It's quite interesting. And I just popped into my head perhaps another analogy. And what I'm thinking of is in some of the stores you go into, they're very busy, very cluttered. And the trend has been to clear out the clutter, particularly these boutique clothing stores. They have very simple, clean lines. They have all the products arranged very neatly. There's not too many of them. So their place looks clean, tidy, and organized. Is that the way to reflect again onto a website? So it's not cluttered, as you say, with all this other stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Some websites you do need a bit more stuff. Like if you're selling like $1,000, $2,000 product, you probably need like a bit more stuff, right? To get it across the line sort of thing. But yeah, like some of the best fashion websites I've built are like just so simple. They're just like the images are so nice, and then it's just very simple, like just hardly anything really. It's really just the images sort of thing. But it really depends on the niche and stuff like that as well. So yeah, what you're trying to achieve, things like that. So yeah.
Now, quite often when I think of a Shopify store, and I'm sure many others do, you kind of think of people buying products from China, they're reselling them, perhaps go through the process of drop shipping. That's quite, a popular pastime now, should we say. But I believe that the platform can also work for service-based businesses. It's not something I'm very aware of. So could you pick an example of a service-based business and how Shopify and your skills can help them to promote their business as well?
Yeah, like I think if services have a product, so if there's like a business that has services and products and stuff like that, it can all be meshed together and it would be the best solution. So maybe like a skincare sort of company, someone who did stuff like where they have maybe a shop, they do treatments in the shop, and then they also sell products. They might have PDF downloads, stuff like that. That sort of makes sense. Some things it makes sense not to use Shopify, and some things it makes sense to use Shopify, even if it isn't just product sort of thing. So I guess it really depends what you're trying to achieve, sort of thing. Yeah, and what direction you want to go in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but you say the bulk of everything that goes on Shopify, very high percentages would be a product-based pack and ship and type of business, really.
Yeah, mostly it'd be just product sort of thing. But yeah, there's definitely cases where it makes sense if you have service-based to do both, to have it all on Shopify. But it really depends on your situation and stuff like that. Yeah, I built my website on Shopify just like years ago. I'm actually got one of my staff rebuilding it at the moment. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to do it on Shopify because I only work on Shopify. But yeah, even me, I thought, should we be on Shopify? Maybe not. Maybe we'll have like a WordPress. So it's definitely in the pipeline. We're like putting a wireframe together and we're going to make a decision. But I think like if I'm like a Shopify expert, this is my thoughts always. Like if I'm a Shopify expert, I always promote Shopify. Shouldn't I use Shopify for my own website? So yeah, that's my thoughts around it, sort of thing.
Cool. Now, things are changing pretty rapidly out in the digital realm, shall we say. AI seems to be taking over. It's the buzz thing of the moment. And I see there are multiple AI systems, shall we say, that supposedly can make amazing websites. So I'm a little bit skeptical on that. Now, how do you keep ahead of the curve? Do you see as AI being a threat? Do you see that what you do is actually more advanced than those type of solutions, inverted commas? I'm quite interested in how you produce a solution that is better than AI. What's the downfalls of AI and how you can help to future-proof a website going forwards that AI couldn't possibly do?
I think AI is not there yet for Shopify, for Shopify websites. It can do very basic code and stuff, but it can't do, well, I've never found anything that can do anything complicated yet. Everything I've looked at with AI is not good enough yet for Shopify. Most likely not most likely, 100%, it's going to get to a point where AI will be very, very good at doing Shopify. Maybe that's in a year, 2 years, 3 years sort of thing. But at the moment, it's just not there. I always like to think of it this way. If AI gets really good, there's only really two people that win in a situation like this. It's the people that build the websites for super cheap, and then the people that are the best. And if you're the best, you'll always be at the front. So you should have a goal at being the best at building websites, using AI to your advantage. Like there's some things that we use AI for now. I think it's been a positive sometimes. Like, for example, this one thing that I have an issue with a lot of the time with a lot of my clients is them writing product descriptions. So AI can do the product descriptions very well. So if you give it a lot of input on like your product stuff like that, it can spit back out a very good product description, where sometimes when people have websites with 2,000 or 3,000 products, their product description, they don't care too much about their product description when they should. And you think if the AI, you make like a new chat, you give it all the information about your business, you'd be like, hey, this is our product, that writes out a product description. And instead of it taking ages for one product description, you can do it very quick. So I think it's going to start making a lot better websites. So probably in a year or two, how good a website will be is we can't even imagine how good a website will be in 2 or 3 years. Like it'll just be so good how you can build a website in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I guess as you say, there are some things that help to make things easy. Those, those always save some time. But what it lacks is the ability to empathize and imagine and try and build that holistic view of what the customer is looking for, and to give advice in the way that your experience has taught you on how to do things in a way that resonate with humans. So I guess that's the difference, is just to use AI in its should we say raw sense that helps to simplify those simple tasks that you don't really need to think about.
Yeah 100%.
Yeah
I definitely think it's a good thing, like the AI and stuff like that. It's going to be good for the future sort of thing. We can't really predict or see what direction the world's going to go because of it, but I think we, like humans, always find a way. Like there used to be a time when people used to think machines would take farmers' jobs and stuff, and it's just made their life easier and made, things like that. AI is going to make our life easier. So we just have to adapt and roll with what keeps coming sort of thing.
Yeah. Now, as an entrepreneur, you've dedicated yourself to help other businesses thrive. So what advice do you have for our audience who are business owners and professionals and are looking to leverage e-commerce platforms like Shopify to enhance their business, their operations, and drive growth? What kind of things would you like to share with those people now to help them make the difference and take the plunge into Shopify?
So I think one of the really important things that I've learned is if you start a business, it normally takes longer than you think to get it off the ground. I think a lot of people, including myself, don't like, I know in all my businesses, I thought it would take 3 months and it took a year sort of thing. So I think sometimes we underestimate how long it will take, but if you keep showing up, pretty much anything's possible when you put your mind to it. I watched a video, I can't remember who it was, but they were saying if you do something for 16 minutes a day for a whole year, you'll be better than 95% of people in the whole world. So if you start an e-commerce business or any business and you show up for at least 16 minutes a day for a whole year, you'll be better than 95% of people in the whole world. So just keep showing up. It's really important that you show up, you have a vision, you back yourself, and just go for it sort of thing. Some people, if they're just past that stage where they've started to make a little bit of money, like especially e-coms, like a lot of people, if they're making like $50,000 to $200,000 a year and they've never hired anyone to build a website, they're probably losing so much money that it's unbelievable how much money they could make. So I definitely hire someone or talk to some people, because the best results we get are people that got off the ground, they started to make sales, they built it all themselves. And like if they're making $50,000 a year, they probably could make $300,000 a year if they rebuilt their website, which is like crazy sort of thing. But then when you get higher levels, a lot of people, they've already hired people. Like if you're making $1 million a year, you probably hired someone to build a website at some stage sort of thing. So yeah, just back yourself. And there's always a point where things make sense. Like even adding some apps into your website, at certain points, they make sense. If you're making no money, it doesn't really make sense to have $100 worth of apps. If you're making $10,000 a month, it makes sense to have $100 worth of apps. If you're making $100,000 a month, it makes sense to have like $500,000 worth of apps a month. So yeah, just back yourself. Everything makes sense at a certain point, and it takes longer than you think normally.
Never underestimate the task ahead, hey?
Yeah.
Before I ask the final question, looking at the time now, where's the best place people can find out more about you, your services, your business, what you can offer them?
My website's inspiresmallbusiness.com. So if you Google Inspire Small Business, it'll come up, or you can go to that website. We have a YouTube channel, Clayton Bates, Shopify Expert, and Instagram is Inspire Small Business as well. We post on other platforms, but I'd say those 3 platforms are the best ones to find me on. And if you have a website and you want a free video review, reach out and I'll do that for you, no worries.
Oh, that's great. It's very kind of you to offer that to the listeners. So please take note of that offer, guys.
Yeah.
So the last thing, now you just mentioned, it sounds like some transformations of businesses, the opportunity that can really make their business grow rapidly. So can you reflect on some of those transformational success stories that you've helped to deliver? Can you share any examples of the before and the after when you've helped a company grow?
Yep. So this fashion brand that we worked with, they're making $1,000 a week. And I think their best week they'd ever done was $4,000 a week. And it was like around Christmas time. So nearly every week they made about $1,000 a week. We rebuilt the website and they started doing $4,500 a week every week. So like that was like pretty life-changing that happened. There's been quite a lot of websites where they're making around $1,000, $2,000 a week, where it's went from that to like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 sort of thing. So yeah, that's like really, really important at that sort of stage. And then some other websites, so like bigger companies, a company we worked with, they're making £1 million a year. And then we rebuilt the website and they did £3 million the next year. So I can contribute, like when I did the stats and everything, probably £1 million of that was because of us. Like, so $1 million was probably their growth, and then probably $1 million was just because of the work we did. So like, that's quite a lot of, but then if you compare that to like someone going from $1,000 to $5,000 a week, that's what I was sort of saying before. When you're at the lower stages, it's a lot easier to like 4, 5, 6 times your business. But when you start to get like higher, you normally can like 2 to 3 times the business from the website. But £1 million extra a year is pretty cool, I reckon. So
yeah, I think I could cope with that somehow.
yeah.
Just interesting. You've pointed out the scale of growth that is possible. Are there particular, should we say, features? Is it the searchability, the layout, the design, the functionality? Is it a combination of all those things? What's the most common things to improve that really make the difference?
Well, I always say there's 5 main things that nearly everyone always messes up. One, the homepage. They don't really understand how to structure their homepage. And especially if you build a brand, a lot of people go to the homepage. So that's a very, very important page. The second one's a product page. They don't have enough information sometimes, or they don't show the benefits, or they don't build trust. So with reviews sort of thing. But you also don't want to overcomplicate it sometimes, but sometimes you can put like that information into tabs, things like that, have it lower on the page. But definitely the benefits, things like that are really important on product page. 3, the site navigation is very, very important. So that one that we made an extra £1 million is their site navigation was a mess on like a very large inventory website. So that's like very, very important. That site navigation is very easy to use. The 4th one's the checkout. A lot of people forget to add their logo, their colors into the checkout. So if you think about user experience, they see a website and say it's red, white and red or something throughout the whole website. They go to the checkout, there's no logo, the buttons are blue or something like that. It's completely different from the rest of the website. So someone's about to give their address, maybe their credit card details. They don't want to feel, you don't want that weird feeling. You want to be consistent throughout the whole process. So even just changing that one page can have a massive impact on your website. A lot of people forget that. And especially where actually Shopify puts the checkout information, I can see why that happens a lot. And then the fifth one is mobile friendly. Probably 50 to 90% of your traffic is coming from mobile. If you have a brand on like Instagram and TikTok, it's probably like 70, 80, 90% mobile. So sometimes a lot of people, they build their website on their desktop at home and they're like, oh, it looks great on desktop, but they don't really think about mobile when pretty much nearly every niche is getting more traffic mobile. So you have to really think about how the website works on mobile phone.
Brilliant. That's some great expertise you've shared there and experience. Thanks very much for doing that. Well, it's been a fascinating discussion. I know we're out of time. I've really enjoyed yourself today, Clayton, and obviously wish you all the best for the future. And thank you for sharing everything today.
No worries. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Bye. So there's another Real Life Buyer podcast. I do hope you enjoyed it and it's given you some ideas and inspiration for greater action and achievement. If you are a purchasing or a supply chain professional, business owner or director, come and join my Facebook group, the Purchasing and Supply Chain Community Hub, a safe place to engage with like-minded, friendly people. See you soon. Bye.